Yeah, let us introduce both artists. Jorge Guevara, Colombian choreographer, multimedia interaction designer, based in Brussels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Naoto Hieda, originally from Japan, and he is an artist now based in Germany, temporary.
Now I'm going to Estonia.
And now to Estonia, right after Ljubljana.
Exactly.
And you work as a collective together since 2020.
Yeah.
You started with the project titled Best Practices in Contemporary Dance.
Right.
And it's still ongoing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it somehow related to this project?
Yeah, very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what sense?
It's like, I think it's like a framework how we, like I was working before here in Dortmund, and
Okay.
also it's a project. So I see it as a, at some point I think that maybe this illustrates like at some point we were invited to this festival called Node, Node in Frankfurt, and we were trying to do, it was just a few months after we started practicing.
Mhm.
Basically the practice is something between, we were online and it's like dancing in front of the camera basically. That was in COVID times. And then they invited us to do something in this festival, and we were trying to do something good, and we failed somehow. So it was something that after we failed, we recognized that it was okay. So then from there, we relaxed trying to do something good, and from there, we took it more as a practice, no, like something that it doesn't have to arrive in a performance state, but it's something that is at the constant state of becoming. So it's not trying to arrive into a performance, but it's, I take it almost like, if I speak personally, it's kind of like the way how I will take decisions, or my ethics as an artist, they come from that, especially that intersection of dance and technology. I take a lot from there.
Okay.
So it's like it's a ground from there. I take a lot of my decisions.
And this is the ground for this project as well.
Yeah, very much.
We have to say in the beginning also that this is a presentation of the first part of the residency. This is not the final showing. We will actually continue in August, right, with the second part, longer
Did we
part.
pass? To continue.
To continue, yeah. And it will be at the end of August. We didn't settle the date exactly for the opening night. And also, this project is a part of Modina project, which is movement, artificial intelligence, and interactive audience. That's why I think was included this workshop within the performance, how to engage the audience, right? To interact with the artificial intelligence and to become the bodies.
Right.
To become bodies.
Yeah, itself or no?
Would you like expand a little bit of?
I mean, you put workshop within the performance,
Right.
so which means that they interact and they become like performers, no?
Right.
In movement, right?
Yeah, actors.
Within
Actors.
yes,
At some point, I
yes.
use the word actors, like the.
So
that-
use the word actors.
Yeah, I use the word actors that, at some point, so slowly, without pressure. That's why I was trying to mention. Of course, this is like a working process, so we need to find out how. But at the beginning, that's what I was trying to. So say like invite one person, but if all the audience is watching you, like you could feel like the pressure of like doing the workshop. So my intention also was to invite other people to interact with the wall, to kind of like give you the space for you to interact with the workshop, and that slowly we can put you in that screen, and slowly you become the actor, but in that soft way, like not completely on the spot, but that's the idea. So how we take you there.
So this is like we interact with Hydra project, the artificial intelligence. There is also the second one, like you told me before. There are two artificial intelligence.
The GPT-2,
Yes.
like this text, like a chat interface, which actually we used a little bit in the performance.
Yeah.
very briefly, but that's another way of interacting with artificial intelligence, and it's basically generate kind of nonsense text based on what we have been speaking. We have a lot of videos on our YouTube channels that basically we talk about our project, what we do. I mean, not really project, like about practice, like reflect on practice. It's been like 4 years. Every time we talk, every time we upload it online, and we decided to take the text from our spoken words and try to make AI speak like us, or write text like us. And that's kind of an experiment we have been doing. And that part, I think we're going to still experiment a bit how to, maybe it's like this, like in the performance, or it can be also in the workshop that you could also engage with this model. But yeah, that's something.
Yeah, also like with this idea of the workshop is like, we did it now because of the constraints of the time, so we're not sure if this will be like this. Like now it was a clear cut. That's why we tried to change the aesthetics. I'm using a microphone that distorts my voice, and then I'm trying to do aesthetically like a big break between the performance, 15 minutes, making clear that it will be a workshop for 15 minutes, and then also announce in that idea of caring for the audience. How to say this, like, so we, like in the performance, we are the focus of attention, we are the attractors of this energy, and then the idea is that in the workshop you are like the actors. But so how to make this transition soft, so there is not on you with the camera right now talk, like, so slowly I was trying then to see like how, because if I speak personally, sometimes when I'm in performances and then they ask me to interact, I could feel too much into the spot. So there has to be this level of care, when yes, when no. So it's something that still we have to see how will be the interaction with the audience, because the project is very much at the intersection of the artificial intelligence and audience interaction. So we still have to develop this
also
part.
probably hopefully next time we have bigger crowd in terms of audience, so that will be that will change the dynamics of the interaction as well.
Also the space will be different because it's upstairs, no?
Yes, it's a bigger part.
So it's a very different space.
Cathedrala, yeah. Do you think it will be better if you have bigger space, or
I would say that it's
you
just
need
different.
this and divide it? Like you said, this is very important. You don't step in your space.
I mean, the way who I see it is like that's part of like coming from these best practices is like we start practicing with the it's kind of like, I see it's kind of like a sculpture, the sculpture takes a rock and you start sculpting layers out from the rock until you have something. So like when we arrive in the space, it's more like sensing what are the affordances of the space, right? And then from there, slowly trying to see what happens. So it's, say classically, like the way how you create a performance, a choreography, like it's very object-based. So like you write a choreography that you don't know how it's gonna be, but classically you have to do it in paper. So you have to put, you work towards an object that is not existing, but you have to compromise yourself as choreographer, like to create something that is not there. So I think this is more organic, and I think in this construction of a long-term speech, there is constructing and at the intersection of dance and technology, there is something it's very new. It's very different in nature. The humanities and technology is very different. So before I start speaking in something that is like interdisciplinary, you need to find space just to talk. Like for these fields to talk before they start blending somehow. So because like traditionally the way how technology is being used on the stage, and also the other way around, is like is very functional. Say like you use technology to enhance the dance, right? It's a projection mapping or whatever it is, and the other way around. Maybe in technology they use some bodies for motion capture or 3D rendering or something like this. So what we try to do is like find a space where everything is horizontal as much as possible. So the bodies, but also the moving lights, like the sound, like the clothes. It's in a way that it's kind of like it's trying to make things more like everything is like an object, that it doesn't have more hierarchy than other one. That's my understanding on. Yeah.
There are lights on you changing, right? Is it somehow connected to these lights in the upper foyer? They're changing.
Not these ones.
Not ones. Which ones then?
Like what is happening from outside. So that's part of this.
Maybe you didn't see this when you come to the building or in front of the building. You see the moving heads.
So the moving heads are
Yes.
connected to this one. So
Yeah.
like 50 meters cable that you have to
Yeah.
go all the way to there. And it's also they are in this. The stage is also upstairs. And conceptually, is this idea of bringing the inside out and the outside in. So then it's bringing the theater out. So then there are pieces of theater there where the moving lights are. And also bringing the outside in is a little bit of. There is this person called Dora Garcia. She speaks very much on this idea of rehearsal as a performance, and she does criticize a bit like she's a sculptor, and she says that like the traditional way to approach scenic arts is through perfection. So like the stereotype is ballet, and compare it. In terms of rehearsal, you rehearse a dance piece and you make it perfect as much as you can, and the rehearsal and visual art is very different because there is not such a thing. You work with materials, and at the moment that you start treating a body in that way that is not really in a perfect way, or like you're trying to misuse the body or like challenging the body, it also generates conflict. I think in a positive way, a constructive conflict for the institutions somehow, because it's like if you propose something that is in a way not completely finished, it demands for the audience like an active spectatorship. If I present you something that is well finished, then I'm entertaining you, and I don't find that so interesting, especially at the threshold of dance and technology. I'm more interested in proposing something that it demands for the audience two options. Like one is that the audience doesn't find itself and then just go. And that's possible. I assume that. But the other one is like the audience insists, and it's not about me telling you what you have to think. You have to find within yourself something that is there for you. So I think it's more constructive than entertaining, which I think that's also totally fine, but that's not my role. No.
I was thinking that because we're a smaller group,
But
that
maybe
you can
could you say
interact.
a bit more about your previous project? This kind of what was it? Best contemporary dance practices.
Yeah.
The short is like best practices. We call it best practices in short.
In short. Actually, this was presented in IDOC D in Pustanz in Vienna, right? Already, and these are those dance house.
Well, the
It's a
nature
project fostering a queer form of conversation between technology
and
dance.
bodies.
Right.
Official one.
Yeah. Well, it has very different nature in terms of it's actually not. I wouldn't say it's a project, because like normally like these days people work on projects, right? You have deadline and you have premiere and you have to finish something. But the way we did best practices is that during COVID we randomly met online and we started to work together, and we didn't have anywhere to show, right? We just started as more like playful thing that
Right.
we just decided to, okay, we meet every week online and we just do something with videos and feedback and like Hydra that was shown there. So it has elements from, we were taking elements from best practices into this performance. And we have been doing this for 4 years, and it's constantly changing. It's improvisation. It's not even structure. The structure is that we have 1 hour, like we did today, and after 1 hour we just cut the connection, and every time we record it and we upload it so we can watch it on YouTube. And because we don't have many constraints, we try different things every time, and we have new discovery. So it's kind of like more like a bottom-up way of working with dance and technology, not like working for the premiere. Like now we're doing.
Like that's what I was mentioning. Like the way how, I mean, we met a few months after we have this chance to be in Know. There is this big festival in Frankfurt, and we try to do something good, but we failed. And then when we failed, just few minutes after, we were downstairs and we said like, actually this really opened a completely new path, because then we realized actually then this is just a practice, and that was 4 years. And in that period, for instance, something that I take from Deleuze is like Deleuze speaks up with this idea of virtuality. Deleuze says that virtuality is a realm of potentiality, where with all the possible states. And it's only accessible when you are in the moment. And in that sense, I like it very much, because in dance, as I see it, like, is happening when you're dancing, as in ENG. Before and after, there is something else, but there is no dance. Only when you are in the moment, you are dancing. Before and after, you can write or make a video or something else, but there's no dance. And in that sense of like pure potentiality, I think there is there's just pure potentiality. So when you work at the threshold of something that is not yet written, like dance and technology, I think is way more. I found it more useful to approach it with a certain level of amateur. How to say this? Like, so not really with. So you, especially when you work with technology, you need to have certain threshold to learn to work with Hydra or something, right? You need to have a minimum level. But I'm against to go to a mastering level, because once you start knowing too much about something, also you limit your possibilities. So I'm more in the space that is in between. So after you reach a level that allow you to perform in different fields, I think you can be more flexible, because also you don't have authority to speak about knowledge, like knowing something. And in this field, that is it's a new thing. Speaking from a knowledge point of view, I think make no sense, because who knows about these things?
No, it's not the new thing. I think these collaborations between dance and technology are around 60 years old. So it's not a new thing.
It's just the technology is
changing.
The things, but also, of course. I think what I have, because you mentioned before the potentiality, the functionality that it states on the functional level, and in many cases I think it did in these relations. But I have to say today, what I found the most potential, as you would put, would be basically this presentation of Hydra software, and also, as you mentioned, this generation of text, speaking and text. This is, I found, like something intriguing, something that kind of tackles my imagination. What could it be? And another thing, I think, from my perspective, because you mentioned that you like to work with the formats which are horizontal,
right?
In terms of non-hierarchical situations, let's say. The one thing that comes to my mind is that you have hierarchy here with the producers, with the project, the demands from you participation, the demands of you relation between technology and dance, and basically things are imposed on you already in some way, Yeah. And there is a certain kind of hierarchy, I think, in the production sense already involved in this situation. And I don't think, from my perspective, I think everything can be argumented in the sense. So from my perspective, I wouldn't put too much pressure on myself with these parameters.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe actually, like those 2 points about the historical point of view and this hierarchy, I see it. Like I totally agree. Like there's, for example, like Maurice Cunningham and Nanjum Peck or Pei Nanjum. They done this. This was in like 70s or like 60s, 70s, and the thing, what I see, like the difference between that and our project or what's happening like these days is that like technology became commodity, and you don't need the specialists to be there. Like all the tools, and especially this open source tools like Hydra, you can like anyone can use it freely, and we can just like really like spend resource without paying so much, or like that's like something I really am thankful about. And that's why like we can really go into like different avenues, and I think that's kind of our approach also, like about tackling this hierarchy, so that maybe it's not everything's horizontal, but it's definitely like disrupted, like different from the historical hierarchy on the stage, I think. And that's I think that's something we have to like constantly question and
If I may add, for example, the counter of time, it's also certain kind of, I don't know.
Like also pressure, you know,
It's a meter. It measures something and it counts down, and it's a certain kind of. It's almost.
It's authority voice.
Authority, yeah. It kind of there is authority there. Yeah. So for example, in terms of horizontality, I would also think about how you can extend the time, and I think.
Or how you can change, how you can intervene, because you had like this kind of slowing down of music, or like kind of moving slowlier, or blah blah blah, or like going against one another. And these are already, I mean, you can do many things with technology, right? On this level, I would say.
You can slow down the music, and you can slow down the time, or expand music
stop
and
it and
Well,
move
actually,
it back. Or
today I had one idea that I didn't do because sometimes I really like to challenge him. Well, I don't know. You don't challenge so much to me, no? I'm more like the asshole. And I thought about, asking you to stop the timer and change it to something else, but I didn't do it.
You mean that?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's gonna be like really like bothered.
Spot,
Like you will be like really bothered.
On the spot.
So I didn't do that. But now that I said it, maybe next time.
But could you,
Exactly.
could you maybe say a bit about this kind of dialogues that you had, like in, out, and like changing roles, and what are these kind of parameters where they're coming, or how they're like imagined or intended, or what is the practice behind it, or where's this protocol
So
from?
like in a way, like
And
like
why?
the score is like, so 15 minutes of warm up. The first 15 minutes is warm up. Then we do 15 minutes of practice, what we call a practice, a show with lights, and then there's the workshop, and then we do 15 minutes back to the performance, and that's 1 hour already. We use this in and out as a kind of like a asking for help. There is no negotiation, and but actually this is not true. So the in is the idea that I give you my full attention, because we are two and there are many things happening.
The other
right?
person has.
Yes, it's an attractor somehow. It calls attention. So if I'm saying in, it means that I'm in focus. So I might need or not his help. If I need his help, I will ask him. But nevertheless, like when I'm in or he's in, then we have to give the full attention until the person is out, and we have a maximum of 5 minutes.
Did you count?
No, actually, I mean yes, with the club, with this one,
Yeah.
yeah. But then, so I mean, like I take this like from my perspective is like the work is very much on this idea of like on invisible labor. So there's many of these small things that is about labor or, for instance, when we propose this idea of the in and out, before we have also something that we call like I would like to share something with you, and this was in negotiation. So if I ask you, I would like to share something with you, you could refuse or not, and do it with me. But this idea of the in-out was not a negotiation. Because the fear was that power somehow, power relations will start, meaning that I could start abusing of my power of in, right? But then we decided just trust and yesterday, for instance, in the rehearsal, we have at 2 moments we have arguments in the stage.
2 days ago, yeah.
Yeah, because there was something going on with this in, like they said, okay, this is too much.
Yeah, I was policing.
Yeah.
Before you said that you expected interaction in the show, but today I was late, so I don't know, did you had interaction?
In the workshop, I think you came late.
Yeah, so you had, okay, super. So next time we will have to be in the show, to play somehow.
When next time we'll see what happens. But like the way how we presented today, like there was 15 minutes when we have a workshop and we have interaction with the audience.
You can actually scan the QR code and try it yourself.
I actually
There's also some accessibility to your videos in that code to your website.
Yeah, you will find it like
information there.
because by now it should be, I think it is like 150 videos of practice and.
From this best practices, we have like roughly 150 of the practice itself and 150 from the chat, and also in my channel I have Hydra tutorials if you're interested. I get more views on that, so I have to put more.
So when you dance, so it's dancing.
No, it's a programming. Actually.
Programming. I mean, I found it was very. This was an experiment for us, not because this, like this. So, it has to be very much at the core for me with this idea of invisible labor, which is like. If you think in theater, like what it happens is possible because of the technicians, but they are not the one who receive like the. Also in just normal life, like is the labor of the nurses of. Like this task, they are normally not really appreciated. So the work is very much, I see it there, but maybe what something I want to share was this idea of periphery. So with institutions, so the practice, what we call what we do, like the best practices, we call this as a sandbox, which is a concept coming from technology, sandbox. And the sandbox is very much in this, within this idea of the loss of pure potentiality. It's something that it just happened when we are doing it, and it's pure. We have, I guess, the protocol is that after 1 hour we close the computer. That's some minimum things. But once we go to, for instance, to this project, and then so we have there is artificial intelligence, audience interaction. So that was one thing that it comes there, and then there is this periphery, like in terms of like you have to start the negotiation of how to make the dialogue. We develop this vocabulary, so how to make it more accessible, right? And then so that's one thing first, like everywhere, how to make it more accessible. And we actually start working on this idea of a workshop 2 years ago. We start thinking like, would be nice to share this with people. And then, but how to share it if it's just such a pleasure to do it in this way, So, and then we start like trying. And so this is 2 years ago, and now we have this. So time passes, and now we are in this format. So we have artificial intelligence, audience interaction, Šiška, like that. We are here also. So it's like all those things are like, I see it like bubbles. With bubbles, and there is the periphery, like one bubble is in a way like the best practices, and then the other bubble could be maybe the project, but also the other bubble could be everybody working around art and technology. And there are many places where things cross fade. So this idea of like how things become, they pass from one state to another state. Like there is this idea of like the critical state in matter is like when, like the example is like when water changes from boiling to vapor, or from water to ice. So is in the critical state is what I call the periphery. You know, like so in the stage you can see when we change. So actually the score of today was we have to move objects, we have to do the phrase in our own time, and we have to eat the apple together. So you can see it there. And we have, I don't know, many other things that we have developed in time. And these things are things that we can do when we want, like the movement phrase and the moving objects, but eating the apple was something that we have to do together. And as much as possible, the intention was like that we should be able to be sensitive to understand when one action was changing to the other one. So again, with this idea of the critical phase, like critical state, because it's in that moment that is not really noticeable, that's the invisible labor. That's what it actually makes it possible to pass from boiling to water. It's just in that micro state that you cannot see is where actually the things are very rich.
You create this memory world here?
We created.
Or,
Yeah, we created. We created. Yes.
What will happen with this wall?
It
after
will
you-
be in a box until we
It will be stored, yes.
Okay.
We will
Is it
store
really
things.
stored?
We will store
Okay.
things until August.
So you will fill it with more memories.
My idea was just. I mean, I'm not saying that this is good or bad. It's just this is just something. So, and it's actually I would like more people to question themselves, like is whatever. So it doesn't matter, like to question themselves. So, just how somebody can trace, how you feel. It doesn't have to be so serious. Yeah.
Like a pudding.
It wasn't very serious if you would understand some stuff
Yeah,
there.
of
It
course,
wasn't
Yeah,
so
yeah, I like it.
serious,
I like it.
actually. It was, yes, playful.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about playing, it's interesting. Also in Slovenian, actor is actually player.
Okay.
So it's like, and for me, I'm programmer and an artist, but I also find play to be a very creative experience, and especially if you are listening about all these concepts like audience participation, and also technology, body. I think, game is a very powerful method, and also I already see some elements of game in your structure, you have, in every game you have some rules, so maybe you can also try to spell out these rules. I mean, I like the timer, because then I assumed, okay, this will last 1 hour, and I'm like at peace, more like, okay, yeah, I know how long this will last, and
You're more relaxed then.
relaxed,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm more relaxed.
After
But
1 hour, the nonsense stops.
it will take 1 hour, something weird is happening, I have no idea what they are doing, but okay, it will be, so maybe, and especially I think, when you want to attract participation, I think and you were also talking about this against perfection and more into practice, and I think this play comes natural here, as you are okay, we are online for an hour and we're playing basically. It's something new. You don't want to play every time the same. You're discovering new things, and so maybe it's a way to make more easy for audience to participate is to kind of present it as a game.
Right. Don't you find like that this idea of joy and playfulness gets a bit more complicated when you are an institution, or how to say it, when there is more responsibility?
Of course.
Because there is this expectation, like there is this. So,
but do you think it's productive or not? That this, you have art institutions and it's work, serious, no? But play is where actually many times this work gets meaning from, Or you find, like, okay, now you have a residency. And what is residency? Okay, it's work, of course. You're serious, but actually in this whole work period, you want actually to find time and space and conditions for you to play with the material, with the ideas, to come out of something, okay, I've been playing and these are the things I want to present now. So for me, really, it's also a way to say, to give space to potentiality. One another thing
because you need to create the conditions for that to happen.
Because you're not saying like must be good. This you also said. Then you said, okay, we failed to be good. We can play. We are super free. We are actually happy and productive and creative in the sense that you are not. This must be ballet, no? Because ballet to me, it's like torture, slavery, bad things, no? I'm not a choreographer, of course, but also in my art, I don't like to be this polished. It's maybe a cliche, but like Japanese technology artist at Ars Electronica, it's some kind of, in my mind, a cliche, which is like very polished, almost like sci-fi thing, But so I'm more like, okay, you have cable, let the cable be visible, because it tells also the story how things working, So maybe also your protocol. I mean, you're two, so maybe I don't know if it need to be that robust or something, but maybe it can be a bit easier, just like a gesture or something. But also, if you explain, then it maybe makes more sense.
I found that in my experiences, like say I just worked, and Naoto was helping with that work, like in Dortmund for doing something, and it was in virtual reality and dance. And also it has the methodology is very similar, but then the way to take decisions were easy because then I'm alone, right? So I'm playing alone. Yeah. So something that I found in my research so far is that people can hold the space that's very abstract with you if you give them clarity with certain things. For instance, one of those is time. So so for instance, at the beginning, I'm telling you, there will be a workshop, and I repeated that. So these are some things that are coming from design, that I try to apply the Gestalt principles. So that helped the people to feel more at ease, that it will last 1 hour. So, and then within what you said, within 1 hour after, so you can give me 1 hour of your attention, knowing that afterwards you can go. And then like that, you can be explicit in the rules, right? Like, I'm gonna do this, but not that. When it becomes more challenging is when you have somebody else and you're trying to be abstract and free. So that's our case, for instance. And we know each other for 4 years. So it's then, and then also you have the pressure, then you have to also to create something within the framework. Like, there are many things how to deal with these things. I guess the question I'm trying to raise is like how to keep something playful when you have to perform, not in the stage, but you have to perform in live. How to make liquid as much as possible things that by nature are solid. how to create this liquidity for things that they are solid, you know, like institutions, they have to be every certain time renewing this solidity and so on. How can we help each other to?
It sounds like you really hate institutions.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you
Can
had
you
also
soft
like
test
a
that?
selection of
has
songs,
more
and you were
liquidity?
playing. You had like a playlist, and it was like these particular songs that we will have to hear or listen because we are here. And it was a decision made before, so there was, you know, it was like a lot of planning in a way for what you were doing or presenting, or everything was kind of not really fixed, but it was very much scored.
Yeah, that's
So-
a structure improvisation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's scored work.
No,
And
because
then
when I
it's-
tried to play Britney, he really
In the rehearsal, but that's what I,
He played Britney in the first presentation,
Yeah, so-
right?
Yeah, like-
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's part of like the sharing the
disappeared
space.
somehow during the process.
That's part of sharing the space because like the training as a dancer and choreographer is like you deal with time and space. That's really like that's you are very much.
I mean, you deal with time and space, but this is.
Very.
No, but
you
like
I mean, this is.
You-
No, but I mean, like, what I'm-
extent in any.
no, but what I'm trying to say,
Both ways.
what I'm trying to say is that the experience of a dancer learning dance and a sculpture or a visual artist, the visual artist will work with the material. So like in performance you have time and space, and you're very much aware. If you take from ballet, there's all these codifications that like and
Okay, there, but not.
at least the way how I was trained, like with ballet, like I mean, I'm saying like academia, you know, like, and my experience working, I guess. Oh yeah, I mean, in my words is like I'm freak about time and space. Like the first time I was working with somebody who was like a visual artist, I could see like the freedom like they have with time and space. I would like to. I was very curious about this. That's what I guess I'm trying to share.
But can I say?
Please. That's
With the systems usually on the stage that have some rules. For example, I sometimes, in terms of playing, for example, for me, I like when there are certain kind of commands, rules, included. It for me as a spectator, I really like to have enough time to be engaged with them and trying to figure them out if they're not explicit.
right.
If they're explicit, it's a kind of almost scoring. So
No, I understand.
Potentiality kind of.
But I understand what you're. But like my experience working with at the threshold is that so the nature of say like humanities or like dance or in my experience is in deconstructing things it allows for the people to engage in trying to decode what is happening, but if you put like if you have so this is one thing like say in a way like if the state of the art proposes this like in humanities. Thing is like with in technology can be very abstract for people working with technology. You know, like could be very complicated or like to could be very overwhelming very fast, even for people working with technology. So I think so that's my approach. I think that I have found so far, like the way how I work, is I take the approach from design principles and trying to, as much as I can, like to ease the load of certain things for other things to become abstract. So I think the good example on the proposal, because of the time, was the fact that we proposed a workshop is because I found that we didn't have really the time to deal with the structure as a score, complete score, was a functional way to introduce interactive with artificial intelligence. So then in that way I could deal with abstraction of the approach to the more artistic thing. There will be more like the practice, as I see it, in terms of potentiality, and then be with more concrete in terms of the workshop and what the people have. So I think what I'm sharing is I found that the approach taken in dance, from my experience, on deconstructing and trying to propose things in certain way for people to decode and stay with you in a certain way, it's too much when also you try to put technology. How much, because then becomes more a conversation about how much technology you put in there. Because it will be, as a spectator, then I get very fast overwhelmed of what is happening. So if I have to decode the art, the dance, and then if I have to also try to understand how to deal with the computer or the virtual reality, the layer of virtual reality, it becomes very much overwhelming. But that's my experience.
Some other thoughts? No? We can continue in the bar? Or you want to finish with some final?
No, I mean, because I think I would like to try to understand a bit better that, because I know what you said, but I think it's just the nature of working with technology. I found is very, but that also could be my experience also. That maybe I'm working with technology only for 4 years, 5 years. So
and you didn't work before with technology before?
No.
Best practices, no?
I mean, I started working when I studied multimedia and communication technology.
Okay.
Before, I just studied dance, and then at some point I started working with.
Also side of technology. Dance.
Yes, in
The
yeah.
manual side, manual
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
Very different.
I mean, also generational thing too. Like, we're kind of, I think, I mean, younger generation. I'm 34. Like, I think they see it very differently. Like you said, like, I think technology is just, they grow up. Well, I also grew up with technology, but I think the way they engage with it is different. And yeah, like talking with like younger people, I can see that.
It's more embedded.
Yeah, it's not just embedded, but also like more like probably they don't have like boundary like and whatever tool they use on the stage, like whatever props or technology, I think they don't really see much of like a distinction. But also that makes sometimes it's hard because they're so used to like apps, and you can't have what, like, for example, Hydra, just like you open Instagram, right? So that anyways there is like a practice that we need to do, but it's like how they're like more like free form.
But for me, there was like a lot of potentiality, especially like also the last part when, of course, you use this kind of easy, very knowing trick with green, and like how to intervene in that, or how this kind of merge into something else and blah blah becomes like kind of blurry, or becomes like kind of a kaleidoscope even, like. Which I really liked, and then I saw also this kaleidoscope. I mean, it went together, but it came from a different source, so to say. Here it was a body producing it, but there it was like a code language, or
but also you were in the camera.
Yeah.
Also, no? So with this, I find it.
But it was more. Here was more.
Yeah,
even
here
more,
was let's say.
But then how to even more.
It was a
like
short,
with that.
like a rehearsed trick, how to make a visually interesting thing, which works well with the movement, no? With the green screen and the trails, no? And I find that actually just the camera and projection is a very, very good tool for dance and technology, because if you go to like sensors, and there's many approaches, no, or VR, but it's somehow transparent and is super easy, and you're still free completely to move, but you have now another role. You're not just moving, you are also becoming like a paintbrush in a visual scene which is actually moving and developing, So maybe of course, dance and music is always parallel but together. This can be maybe like a third plane,
Which one can you repeat?
like the visual, the camera, which is recording you, but then also with the hydrate, it allows you not just to see yourself in that moment, but to kind of create a path or create a pattern out of it. No? So I love this kind of works, no? This kind of play.
Yeah, when you were also saying how the artificial intelligence was kind of using, pick up your words and kind of making something out of it. For me, this was also something interesting, and what to do with not only looping, but taking maybe even like from the outside inside something, if you're like playing with that. Because there is like what a story would be built, and then, you know, say to the this kind of artificial intelligence, intelligence that you are like writing and asking questions, like, you know, how to use these words or pickups and make a story on something that you, I don't know, comes out, or, you know, someone says in the audience or whatever. But building out of that, and then also trying to kind of answer on that, or find an answer to this kind of story or the questions within the body, within the, you know, like how to play with this kind of different things, but there should be certain kind of rules or decisions with which you would make things alive, like really live and alive, not like predictable, because it is improvised, because you cannot predict what will be said or what the things will be picked up, and I mean, I'm now like.
I have to mention again, like this thing of the institution, like it's it's a question, no? Like I'm trying to solve with myself, and this idea, how much, why the decisions that I take, like, so the way who I think could, ideally I think could work better, or it needs, I guess, I imagine something that is more durational because of this idea of the transition, the change of a state. So you need to slow down to understand what is changing. But since there's so many different things coming from different nature, so starting from two bodies, very different bodies charged with different things, but also then the technical elements coming from different parts, I think it normally is, I can imagine more like in a durational state, you know, like something that it takes longer time to change or not states. So but also understand that maybe asking the audience to stay for 2 hours or 3 hours is problematic to put it in the stage.
But, I mean, it's a decision that you make.
It's a decision, exactly, it's a decision, but then...
But I just think
one thing that basically came to my mind, because I think if you, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but if you would go in the last 60 years where the kind of virtual image had been recorded or sound generated in a certain way, I think certain kind of direction in the relation between dance and technology went from material things into virtual things. Basically, it was, as if maybe I'm wrong, into certain kind of substitute.
Can you expand a little bit on this? I'm not
Yeah,
following.
basically the certain physical actions, let's say, were translated into images or into sounds. One thing basically that came, and it mostly went in this direction. One thing that came to my mind when I saw the images on the screen, which were very kind of multiplied, amplified, modulated, and so on. The question that came to my mind, is it any way that this very intense image would be materialized back.
Which image?
The image on the screen. Is it possible that this would function, or that it would be in a certain way either materialized back, or that it would have effect on my body that wouldn't be in the...
It
Is
sounds
it
very
possible
interesting.
that if it would have effect on my body,
On the
that
real
would,
body, not on
yeah,
the
on
screen,
my
yeah.
on my
On my
material body, in the sense that this intensity of procedures would be somehow felt material. You know, this, for example, this was because
Also,
you.
You can get epileptic fit from this image. It's very,
Okay, no, I totally
I'm-
agree, but you
I would
know,
just say, you know, this
Interesting.
tool is used for VJing.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it is actually a practice where you are somehow influencing dancing people or listening
Yeah.
to music to give them something.
I actually don't like making videos. And like really like direct answer to what you said is like I produce like banners.
Like
And
materials, yeah,
It's
yeah.
very material.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
But it's coming from like Hydra, so sometimes like from the practice itself, I just take a screenshot and make big banner. So that's, I mean, of course, it doesn't carry the same quality because it's not moving image, but it when it's like hanging, like I put it on a construction site, for example, and that really like completely gives different context, and but also it starts to give the different meaning, and I think that's still like interested in exploring more.
But also, what it came to my mind is there this let's say reverse materialization of what is there, possible maybe in bioart more than in the certain way.
No, I also think this.
You
Could be,
know,
I also think it's possible. Like, I mean, I like what you propose, but again, I mean, for me, it has to be. It's very much in relation to time, because you need to find a sensibility, and also the time to allow for that process to happen, even if it's not a real thing, just the gesture that allow you as a performer to get into the state, and that the people can share it with you. You need time to create the critical state and to share it with the people. And then again, the fact that then you put it, I guess, that questioned me a lot. No, like the time, like the decisions when you I mean, this will be like, I guess we will have to talk very much in how we put like the decisions that we took here, because we were basically working two weeks to put this together. So there are many decisions that often I propose things, but I was not really convinced the proposal. But I just think from my learning, I mean, from speaking somehow from feeling and knowledge somehow, not convinced by myself, but just like fast taking decisions and dealing with the project, just dealing with myself as institution, I guess. That's in short, I guess, dealing with myself as institution, trying to, and then knowing that I will have to deal with myself as institution and myself as the one to like to play afterwards, but I don't have the time right now.
Or anarchist.
Yes, yeah, like, because at the end, I mean, the practice sandbox is just joy, it's just pure play, but that's, and the way how we found out, it was, I also think, I guess, we have to speak about this idea of privilege, because in the way how we found out what was possible, we were not working. That's why I think it became something very concrete, because we were not working. We just find out each other on the way, and then
Click.
Yeah, and then click. I stopped dancing and so I was coming from dance, and then I started working with technology for 4 years, and then I met Naoto. Naoto was doing the other way around, and we met in the middle. So then we just started like just sharing a lot of things. So it was this privilege of different things that we didn't also have to. I mean, opportunities just came along, you know. Like one of those was in the Impulse Dance that invited us to talk about this after the the COVID time, so they invited us to present the work, and the only way to present the work that it was online based was to do a practice. So at the moment that we finished the practice, we said, oh wow, this is a performance. Because I mean, normally we were just doing always online thing, but at that moment we could not really speak on something, so we just did it. And so for instance, just to say like, this opportunity just came on time, like this is also one of it's just how it's shaping to now is doing this, the framework.
Okay. We can continue this in August, right?
Yes.
Let's go. I didn't have a beer yet, so.
You don't have a beer.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.